Proof of God. Most children believe in Santa Claus and tooth fairies because despite common sense, parents claim they are real. Most adults likewise believe in God because their religious leaders claim God is real. Religion teaches us that we can speak to God in prayer and that our prayers are answered if we are good. Most who believe in God actually merely follow blindly whatever religious leaders tell them to believe in the hopes that they will get something they crave for but do not really need. Some religious leaders even proclaim that God punishes those that are disobedient by having them burn in hell forever. Many people have difficulty believing in a God because they relate God to religion. They relate religion to the many religious wars and atrocities that killed millions of people in the name of God. Religions present God as an old man with a beard who watches over our every move and knows our every intention. This God is depicted to be jealous and extremely cruel. The first step in proving that God exists is to prove that spirits exist. Spirits softly whisper to us by giving us spontaneous thoughts called intuition, which most of us do not listen to. Spirits loudly yell at us by giving us coincidences that most of us attribute to chance. Coincidences are two or more chance events that coincide in time and place. Any one of these events by itself can be attributed to pure chance. When such events happen in the same place at the same time to the same person, then many consider them as miracles. One such an example is life itself. Everything, including life, is theoretically inevitable to arise from chance when and if given an infinite amount of time. But reality precludes infinity, which is possible only in mathematics and in our imagination. According to the latest scientific knowledge, our universe formed from a single quantum hiccup about 14.5 billion years ago. The chance of a single living cell evolving to a human being within the time span of 4 billion years can be calculated to be a reasonable possibility. The chance of life in the form of a single cell to appear within 500 million years after our sun and planet formed has a much lesser probability of ever happening. The chance of our Earth being formed just at the right distance from our sun and the chance of our sun being just the right size required to harbor life within the time span of 10 billion years is orders of magnitude smaller still. When we combine these three chance events, the coincidence of them happening are far beyond a reasonable chance of ever happening within a time span of 14.5 billion years. Such coincidences of chance events happen all the time to all people. Below are a few examples of such coincidences that I have personally experienced. One day, after a few years of having graduated from university, I thought about my classmate whom I had not contacted or even thought about since we were in school together. I wondered how he was doing, so I looked up his phone number and gave him a call. I dialed his number and before I got a ringtone, I found him online. He explained the same urge came over him to call me, and he as well found me online before getting a ringtone. In another example, a friend I was visiting was missing the very last piece of a puzzle she was working on. It was part of a blue sky. Having looked for the missing puzzle piece everywhere unsuccessfully, I drove back home. About 400 kilometers away, I parked my car on the shoulder of the road to have a pee. As I was peeing, to my surprise, I was uncovering a blue puzzle piece that lay buried in the sand. When I told her about this, she refused to see me again. A third coincidence I would like to share is hearing about a friend of a friend and meeting her by chance 5,000 kilometers away a few weeks later while I was on holiday. There are people who would like to be able to believe in a God without religious constraints, but demand physical proof of his existence. Some claim that whenever they narrowly escape an inevitable death, that guardian angels must have been watching over to save them. Others claim that perhaps those lucky people who escaped death by the skin of their teeth were actually targeted by angels that wanted to kill them but just happened to fail to hit their target. If you ever win the big prize in the lottery, consider yourself just really lucky. After all, someone has to win. But if you get hit and killed by lightning soon after winning that lottery, consider yourself blessed. After all, most poor winners end up with more problems and end up unhappy as new millionaires.